Share my screen. Which went away. Okay, do that. There we go. There we go. You guys seeing what I'm seeing?
Yeah, if you could just enlarge it a little bit, just so we have the agenda. There we go.
There we go.
Great. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. This is our December quarterly meeting of the Public-Private Partnership Subcommittee. We can go around the Zoom room and introduce ourselves. Tom Kierak, I'm the director of the Public-Private Partnership Office. Suzanne, would you like to go?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Hello, everyone. Suzanne Ray, program manager. I know y'all. Nice to see you this morning. Pass it over to David.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. This is David Dragoo, and I'm an EDC commissioner. Thanks for having me.
David. Stephen?
Hi, good morning. David Spector with KPMG. Happy to be here.
Thanks, David. Ashley?
Ashley Mahoney, also with KPMG, and also happy to be here.
And I think, did Stephen just fall off?
I'm here, Stephen. I'm here, Stephen Palletz, Commissioner.
Thanks, Stephen.
This is Karyak, EDC Commissioner.
Hi, Carl.
Thank you all for joining us, and we'll get into the program here. So we just the first subject is our technical advisor solicitation. We went out with that in September. Is that about right?
Mm-hmm.
But went out in September with our technical advisor solicitation. We had, if you remember, we went out, or if you weren't here, I'll mind you, we went out with a financial one and legal one. So we have a bench of 3 for each of those advisors. And we decided to go ahead and go out with a technical advisor as well. So we'll be bringing on a bench of 3 technical advisors. We got 7 solicitations back. So we got a strong group. We're very happy with who we got back. We will most likely make a final decision in early January and hopefully have them under contract and ready to work in February. So that's the hopes for the new year, because we're going to have a busy year. And the reason that we really did it was that we knew we were getting this next part. We had applied for the Innovative Finance Asset Concession Grant Program. This is a Department of Transportation grant. And what it allows you to do is really, my idea behind applying for this is we have multiple properties that we don't know a ton about. And we wanted to kind of build a binder, the idea, and kind of have them start the process of understanding these properties a little bit more and what we would be able to do with them as a little bit more budget frees up. And this grant gives us that opportunity to do some feasibility studies on them and to do some possible community engagement and to really start just doing some legwork on these properties. Some of the properties include our Pueblo property, our Montview property, and also we're going to do some further work with this grant on our Lookout Mountain property. And what it allows you to do is do that work, and it also it will look further into if these properties will be eligible for TIFIA money and TIFIA grants or not TIFIA loans, from the Department of Transportation, which some of these properties, it may be more attractive to developers, because of how much infrastructure will be involved in building out a development in these areas. If building that capital stack comes at a little bit of a lower price, and a little bit. TIFIA is not always the easiest, but if you have a developer that has used it before, they may be a little bit more attractive to them if the cost is at a lower price coming in. Anything else on that, Suzanne?
No, I don't think so. We will be just kicking off the grant. January 8th is our official start date with that. So we'll be having just internal meetings to get our group set up, and then of course working with the kickoff meeting with their team here imminently.
We haven't decided if we want to do one advisor for the whole grant for that yet, or if we'll split up the properties. We're not exactly sure how we'll go ahead. We'll probably talk internally and see what's best. And also probably talk to the Department of Transportation and get their insights on what they think would kind of work best, to make sure that we stay in compliance with that grant. Any questions on those two?
Yeah, Tom, I've got a question. On this, can you walk me through the process that you do an asset scan? I saw that in the summary.
So what's the process of doing it?
Yeah, like what does it entail? You guys are taking a little bit more proactive approach. So what do you guys do? Do you just, is it all data? Is that what these advisors are going to do? Maybe you could just give me a.
Yeah, it'll kind of be both. It's what it will be. It will be our normal process with kind of figuring out a property. So market study, feasibility study, and maybe some environmental. We have a around a $700,000 grant, and we're going to do 4 properties, we hope. So depending on how far we can stretch that, and we may throw some of our budget in as well to kind of if we think it's worth it. But those ones will be the major ones, and then some community engagement maybe as well. And then and also what we have to do is the first step is it TIFIA eligible? So that will be the first step on all these properties, is to figure out if it's TIFIA eligible property. And if it is, then that's where you go to that second phase where you're able to do further studies, like a feasibility study, market study, community engagement, and really dig in deeper on them.
Okay, well, no, I appreciate that. Thanks for that explanation.
Yeah, no problem.
I just wanted to welcome Matt. He was having some tech issues, so he's joined by phone. So he'll join us here in a moment, but just Matt Gaynor is one of our project managers. So he has now been able to join by phone. For whatever reason, there was some Zoom issues on his PC, which we are all quite familiar with. I think we'll jump into some program updates, and I'd like to welcome our visitors today from KPMG. Thank you so much, David and Ashley, for joining. We're going to give a little bit of an update. We've invited them to join for David and Stephen and Carl today, so that they can kind of give a little bit of an overview of what we've been working on and kind of what they put together, and then we can get some questions from there. Does that sound good? So go ahead.
Yeah, let me just give a little background.
Yeah, go for it.
Because Carl wasn't part of the group. I actually wasn't part of the group either yet. But 1881 Pierce Lakewood Complex, we had done AECom had done a feasibility study and a market study on that property about a year and a half ago now, and we had not moved forward on it. So about 4 months ago, I went back and looked at it, and I thought this is actually a great opportunity to move forward on this project. and we started thinking about actually moving forward. And that's where when we put out a bid to our financial advisors, and KPMG won that bid, and we brought them on. And so we're going to have them kind of discuss the process and high level of what we're going to do moving forward with this property.
Great. Tom, do you want us to jump in?
Yeah, go ahead. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, happy to. And EDC Commissioner, it's nice to be here. Thanks for having us. We will dig in and talk about the project. We think it's a pretty cool opportunity. If I can, I'll just take 1 minute, because a lot of people are like, why is there an audit firm doing this real estate analysis? So I'll explain that for a second, introduce ourselves, and then we'll dig into the project. So as Tom mentioned, we are on their bench of financial advisors. KPMG, as you know, is a big audit tax advisory firm. We do a lot of work with the state of Colorado. Right now we work with HICPUF and Department of Transportation, and we've worked with OEDIT in the past. I'm the lead account partner for our state of Colorado account. We specialize in our consulting and advisory practice representing state and government clients. So we do quite a bit of work for DPA in addition to other divisions, in addition to helping out Tom and Suzanne. We are also, in our consulting and advisory practice, have the largest infrastructure advisory practice in the United States that specializes in public-private partnerships, real estate, affordable housing. And we have a great team that's going to be working and supporting Tom and Suzanne on this project, including local folks like me. I'm actually an infrastructure professional, been in the business for 20 years, worked on projects such as Denver Union Station redevelopment, the redevelopment of the Stapleton International Airport, now Central Park, the Eagle P3, Train to the Plane project, Central 70. So we bring a breadth of experience. And Ashley, who's here today, has a lot of experience working for public entities across the country on projects very similar to this that are especially focused on affordable housing. So want to just set that up and let folks know we're not here to do an audit or do any tax work. We're actually here to do some market work. We've worked with the P3 unit before on a prior project, and we're excited to be working with you all on this project here. So I'm going to hand it over to Ashley, and she's going to talk a little bit about what the project entails, a little bit about what we're looking to do in terms of the procurement and finding the right developer, and then the timeline as well.
Great. Thanks, David. Tom, do you mind if I steal the screen very quickly?
No, go ahead. I think Suzanne just has to unshare it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So while that's happening, oh, I think it just happened. Let me go ahead and do
Make
that.
sure you have permissions.
Yeah. Thank you.
You should be good to go.
Okay, great. Okay, so I think, sorry, we're Teams people, so I have to make sure I do this correctly. Let me know if you can see a PowerPoint presentation.
You're good, Ashley. Yep.
Okay, wonderful. So Tom, appreciate that introduction to the site. We just put together a quick slide that provides some visuals to guide folks on the call today. But this development parcel map on the right here shows kind of the 3 parcels that form part of the broader development site for the Lakewood complex. And together they total about 12.5 acres, which with parcel 2 kind of being the largest, most contiguous site. So a really great site with a variety of options that can sit across the 3 parcels. The work that AECOM did was really focused on kind of what the sites could support with a focus on housing. And so they built out kind of a program for the sites that we're going to do a bit of testing with in the market. But it includes kind of a very robust residential development with some goals around affordable housing. So both a combination of market rate and affordable. And really what the goal is to maximize these sites, which right now are largely underutilized. Create the opportunity for additional housing supply, in this submarket, with a focus ideally on affordable housing. and to really tap into the potential for private, sector innovation and thinking about, how to program them in a way that delivers on, the housing objectives of DPA, while also thinking about some creative solutions, including with respect to the funding and financing strategy. This slide, really lays out kind of the key activities that we're going to undertake, which tie specifically to DPA's goals for the site. So recognizing that AECOM did some due diligence, did a market study, we're going to take a look at that and kind of do a slight refresh, right? We're going to look back into the market today to understand demand and supply, including what's in the pipeline, just to get a sense of, what projects but that potentially might compete with this based on their schedule, what supply is going to be delivered in the market as we move through this process of identifying a developer and getting a project built. And then also looking at kind of changing economics, right? Understanding kind of how construction costs have evolved. And this is really meant to inform the procurement documents themselves, which will define the project, on some level, provide some guidance around program and preferred uses while still preserving enough flexibility for the private sector to bring its ideas, and also for it to do some sense checking of some of the due diligence that's been done by AECOM in partnership with DPA. We kicked off the engagement last week, and we had a workshop yesterday on the procurement process and talked through a couple different approaches, pros and cons, and how those tie to schedule. So the next step beyond the market analysis and kind of refresh is to reach agreement on what is that procurement approach. And then once we reach agreement there, then we're really rolling up our sleeves and putting pen to paper on the procurement package, which will then be put into the market. And then, we will work with DPA to review and evaluate developer submissions, potentially conduct some interviews to down select and identify a preferred developer. And then, we'll work with DPA on, ultimately negotiating, commercial terms for the project agreements that will be entered into between DPA and the developer. So that's a very high level kind of overview, and David and I are happy to answer any questions that folks might have on what those specific tasks or activities include. But this is meant to provide kind of an indicative, schedule and work plan for our work with DPA. So as I mentioned, we've kicked off already. The market studies in process. We're building out the procurement strategy. And, DPA had set sort of an outside goal of ideally reaching commercial close by August 2025, which also aligns to certain, Colorado deadlines around LIHTC. So to the extent that a LIHTC project or component of the broader project is LIHTC, there's a nice sort of matching to the state schedule around certain letters of intent and other things that need to be assembled. But the idea is that, we're starting last week and we're running through August, and this sort of breaks out, how much time we've allocated across those different activities to reach commercial close by August of next year. So happy to answer any questions that folks might have around the schedule, around the activities, kind of where we are in process.
Ashley, this is David. Is this a 4% or 9% round for the tax credits? And how is the award going to get managed? Because if the applicant is the developer or you, it's different. It's not going to be you guys. So who is it, I guess?
Yeah, I set the deadline for August because of the 9% round, but we're not sure who the developer, what the developer's capital stack would look like. I just want to give whoever we choose as many options as possible.
Okay.
And it will be managed by the developer, whoever we choose. It won't be managed by us. We'll kind of work in partnership with them, but they will be managed by the developer.
Yeah, that's it. That was gonna be my next question.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah, I just
actually-
want, like I said, I just want to give them whoever we bring on, I want to give them as many options as possible. It doesn't necessarily have to be the 9% round that they go for, but I wanted to give them that option just in case and not have to wait a whole year to apply, to kind of start that process.
Okay. Yeah, thanks, Tom. And then Ashley, when you guys know, can the committee see the AMIs you're proposing? Because obviously you've got middle and I mean, you guys use the words attainable, so I'm assuming the market study is going to tell you what's going to be done, but
Yep.
if it's 30 to 60 and then 60 to 120 or 80 to 120, then you have Prop 123. It would just be good to see the AMI, breakdown, because we might be able to just give some insight on other programs, which I'm sure you guys already know about, but it might be helpful.
Sure.
I think there, David, as well, is another thing with that is we will be, if we go with a kind of a PDA approach, pre-development agreement approach, it'll be more flexible with kind of the developer we pick
Yeah.
on the AMI, on what we'll kind of have my thinking behind it. Let me know what you think about this. Is we'll have a sweet spot where we want at least this much to this much, but I don't think we want to tell them you have to do exactly this much. I want to give them the flexibility to kind of just to make sure it's feasible. I don't want to kind of demand something that's not feasible and kills the project.
Yeah, it's a smart approach, and I think flexibility is key for developers. Plus, meeting the highest need at the lowest cost, right? That's one of our jobs, really, is to help you guys as in an advisory role. So, to the extent that we can provide housing at a low cost, that's probably a measurable goal that we'd like to see. At least, I'm speaking for myself. I don't know what Stephen and Carl think, but
I agree.
Same here.
All right, well, thank you, Ashley, for the details. David, and to the rest of the committee, like, we're here, we're available. We'll, through Tom and Suzanne, keep you guys updated in the process. And if there's any questions in the interim, please feel free to reach out to the staff and they'll feed it to us. So we're looking forward to it, and we'll check in next time and give you an update.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and just so the committee knows, next steps kind of on our part is we'll have to go to CDC on this. We haven't decided when we will go to it yet. And we're thinking maybe January or February. And if we do, I was thinking I would most likely send out an email and get updates and give you guys an update on everything and see if maybe you guys would want to either give a letter of support or a recommendation for that meeting. But we can talk about that as we move forward. Yeah, Suzanne? You're on mute.
Appreciate that. Thank you for telling me. All right, Lookout Mountain. As you saw in your summary, just as the overview, that is the additional parcel adjacent to the Lookout Mountain Youth Correctional Facility in Golden, Colorado. And that one is, we had the master plan. We did an RFQ on that and had Kinley Horn conduct a master plan, which just wrapped up and completed. So with that master plan, then they kind of presented a stab at pricing, and then all of the work that would need to go into between 300 to 400 units of attainable affordable housing right there over in Jefferson County in Golden. So we will, next steps on that one. There was conducting some studies outside on the land just to make sure that it was free of any potential historic graveyard or cemetery site, which had been kind of flagged as a potential. So there was a study completed on that, and we're waiting for the results on that. But barring any findings of human remains and or discovery of a burial site, which would need to be kind of obviously reviewed correctly and with the time and resources. If there is nothing there that was found and that study is conclusive that there was not human remains found, then we'll move into the next step, which would be likely RFP and or however we kind of take a look at. That's certainly open to advisement on that, but we're looking at RFP in spring-ish, maybe. Tom, what are your thoughts on that? Late spring?
Late spring or summer,
Mhm.
just to give us time, because we're going
Yeah.
out with the Lakewood complex. We would probably want to spread them out a little bit. And plus we're going to do some studies from the grant on the Lookout Mountain complex as well. So depending on how long those studies take, and then depending on how busy we are with the Lakewood complex, just give us enough time in between projects to really get our feet under us.
And just get the resources here, people, manpower, so that we can kind of go at things correctly and well. Yeah. Any questions on Lookout Mountain?
This property is it's a really nice property. It's an exciting project. It's a little bit expensive on infrastructure build out, so it will be challenging in that right. But with the 300-400 units that's possible there, it's exciting, and it'll be another one that we're looking forward to kind of move forward with.
Tom and Suzanne, just a couple of comments. When you guys receive this federal funding, which I believe it's federal, right, Tom?
Correct.
Are you allowed to, I'm just seeing a lot of feasibility studies here, and I'm thinking to myself, would it be prudent to RFP for a market study on call, CHAFA qualified individual or firm that can do your market studies quickly? Because I'm thinking, like for Lookout Mountain and for 1881 Pierce, you're gonna have to do those anyway. And that might be indicative of what the next phase is for a developer guiding the RFP, given that market study really tells you what you need. Just a thought. Because you might be able to lower your costs and try to, utilize that grant funding efficiently, right?
Yeah, no, that's a good idea. And that's what I mean, that's kind of what I like with the technical advisor. And that's what I was kind of thinking of, maybe just doing one instead of by property for the whole package. Kind of just putting it out there, because I thought if we put it out there to our advisors and say, we have this much money, what can you give us for what will you be able to provide us for this much money on these properties? I think that would we'll see what kind of value we get back from them.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I would say when you do the market studies or you get one, CHAFA has a list of preferred LIHTC approved market studies. And typically if you meet the standard for LIHTC, you're going to meet the standard for workforce. And then they're considered usable studies. If you don't use those providers, sometimes the market studies aren't seen as assignable or valuable for anybody that's coming in. So that's just one thing to consider, because that's a nuance that you won't learn until you pay for one, and then you realize you can't, you're
gotta go back and do it.
Yeah, they can't use it and they got to redo it, and then everyone's like, dang it, we missed it.
Yeah.
Twiddling your thumbs. Yeah. Okay, that's good to know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. I just want to tag on a little bit to what Dave was just saying. If you guys put out a pre-qualification for these market studies, just like Dave was saying with the CHAFA one, because I'm not sure if that's competitively procured or not, that would save a lot of time and money.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll move on to Steamboat. Just as an overview and a recap, just reminding you that Steamboat is it's that CDOT parcel right along 40 in downtown Steamboat, and working with City of Steamboat, Routt County, CDOT, and us in terms of potentially doing a land swap. With that land swap on it would be this 11,000 square foot child care center with 36 workforce housing units on top of that, and parking subterranean, so underneath. So that is a very expensive land project because it's currently just water runoff right now. So the site work on that is coming up as being pricey, but we're still working through that. Right now, currently drawings are with, and the drawings for the site specific for the land swap are with the City of Steamboat right now. And they're going through kind of changing some things, going through their approval process. Once we have that, we can go through commission, Transportation Commission for approval on a land swap, which would be a one-to-one land swap. So the city would come down to the river, and then the buildable property would be on CDOT land. So then been working through that. Of course, we have that grant through U.S. Forestry Service, looking at bringing in mass timber, how we can do that, what the availability is, what the options are. All of that has been examined very carefully by the engineer, who is quite familiar with mass timber, working with our designer too, who is Vega. And I think Adam has actually been on a call previously to kind of discuss the project. So right now we're in the approvals process. After that, we'll look at construction documents. Simultaneously, we're working on, city is working with Proforma for the child care center and for housing. And then with that, there's going to be a lot of pencil erasing and resharpening of pencils to kind of fine tune what that looks like. The City of Steamboat will own we'll do a land lease, and then we'll own the structure itself. So then they'll have to look at financing and continuing to look at various funding options for grants and private foundation as well. So it just recently hit a little obstacle with the Proforma, but we're gonna just kind of keep pushing through and working with the city and what that's gonna look like. So seeing if we can hopefully move forward. But that site it's a challenging site with, currently it's just water runoff right now. So a lot has to be done to make it buildable. So we're looking into that as well. That one's not a new one, but as you guys know, you've been along for that one, for that ride for a while. Carl, not quite as long, but just we're continuing. We're right where we need to be in terms of our timeline. So yeah, any additional thoughts or questions on Steamboat?
Yeah, I just wanted to know if you have an idea of when the city might be finished with their
Their review.
Mhm.
Yeah, Carl, good question. So actually imminently. So as soon as that's done, we're hoping that we're at December 12th today. I think it's by next week. Once we have that, various approvals, the redesign has gone back, or the sharpening of the pencil and changes that they've required, then we can go to commission. So we need to have land descriptions and the subdivision completed before we can go over to commission for their approval.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Dan, on Steamboat, one thing
Mhm.
to be aware of, and I know you guys are probably, you know, ahead of this, is what's the relationship of the operator of the child care center and the city? Because is the city going to operate, or are they gonna contract?
Really good question. Yeah, both of those are up in the air, and that is, they will determine what they're going to do with that and who is going to operate. The city kind of really needs to determine that. That's part of their Proforma, as well as looking at, are we going to do this as a private, and or are we going to do this in-house through the city? And are they going to create their own kind of department within? So those are ongoing discussions that I think that we're Our last meeting was canceled for our project manager, but we do have a meeting upcoming on Friday. So these are part of their ongoing discussions too. There is going to need to be, you know, obviously a subsidy for keeping that childcare going yearly. And so just looking at what that's going to entail too, and where those costs, who is going to be absorbing those, where are those coming from, and all part of the equation.
Okay, thank you. Some
Yeah,
great
great
examples.
questions.
Grand Junction Community Hospital built one. They lease it to a provider at a free rate, and then they get the offsets for operation costs. And then another reference is the city of Montrose is building their own and are gonna, originally they were gonna operate it, but now they're gonna RFP it for a third party. So some good.
Are they building it, or is it in a current, just on that Montrose one, David? I'm just a little curious. Are they building that one from the ground up? Is it going to be a land lease? Are they kind of refiguring an older building to retrofit for childcare, or what's their infrastructure?
They are retrofitting an older school that was closed. So it's a retrofit, and then they will operate it. But it's basically the issue is that it's guided by, that's why I asked the permitting question, is because the number of students you can get is tied to the square footage of operating space, and you're only allowed a certain amount of kids per, it's like 75 or 80 square feet. So that's why I'm asking these, because if depending on the size of their space, they're only allowed a certain amount of kids.
Right.
Yeah, and that's been part of pro forma too, is they wanted less kids than the actual regulations, but now that we're seeing the pro forma, there's thoughts of maybe we just do what you're allowed to have per kid's space to make it a little bit easier to cover the budget.
Cool. But just some great references, you know, Suzanne, if you want to talk to other people that are doing it and have done it,
I just would like to continue that conversation, because whether it be this project and or down the road, it is, you know, ECE is one of our pillars. So David, I will reach out to you if you can put me in contact with any of those folks, even just having a conversation about understanding. I don't expect any two to be the exact same, right? That's just, there's going to be a lot of variables that come, but understanding pictures and how things are put together in various puzzles and what challenges are, or it's one of the areas that we're trying to learn and understand. So thank you. That'd be awesome. I will reach out for that. I think I'll move on then to Governor's Mansion parking lot. Please feel free to interrupt. And if any of you want to loop back to, if you've generated another question on any of the previous projects, and interrupt anytime. But with Governor's Mansion parking lot, just as a refresher there, we worked with CU Denver in coming up with a kind of like a 3 drawing mini conceptual plan. Of course, it's not stamped, but they worked, the professors with their students, and coming up with 3 potential designs for affordable housing on the parking lot adjacent, directly across the street from Governor's Mansion. And the various designs where parking would be, which would be underneath the design, and how many units could each of the 3 that they proposed could fit of affordable housing. And I think we're in the hundreds. It was up to, I think the largest was 130 units, and maybe it was 147 units. So they've completed that study. It was fantastic to work with them. They generated some great stuff, and also working with higher ed on this kind of a project was affordable for us. And it was a great kind of partnership to have. And they provided a great product too. So that sits with the governor's office now, and we'll just be kind of in talks as to what the next steps are for that. And we'll certainly keep you in the loop. As of this moment, right now, it's not on our, Tom, interrupt me if I'm wrong in speaking this, but we're currently holding, and we're waiting to get some additional direction from the governor's office on that one. But also, I should say, it on the bottom level, it included, there was some retail space, and then on the top level, there was an entertaining type space for venues from governor's office as well that could be used. Thoughts or questions on that guy? All right, let's see. DOC broadband, Matt, I'm going to pass the mic to you. Hopefully your microphone works, but that was Department of Corrections and broadband. I will pass it to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Suzanne. Hopefully you can hear me.
Yep, you're good.
Apologies all for showing up late. Apparently all computer updates aren't as kind as others. So I'm joining from my phone, so I'm not on screen, but if you have any questions as I discuss DOC broadband, let me know. So the project consists of supporting the purchase and installation of broadband infrastructure for telehealth and telebehavioral health for the incarcerated individuals at Lyman and Sterling facilities. The funds utilized for this were supported by the Denver Foundation grant, which is awesome. And it'll help a number of things. It connects the inmates with chronic care conditions or to specialized medical providers, enhances behavioral health opportunities, as well as has a positive impact for the staff at both facilities to utilize better time management and safety. Good news story on this project is Lyman was just completed end of October, so we're closing out the financial piece on that as we speak. OIT equipment was purchased for both locations, Lyman and Sterling, and again, Sterling is currently undergoing with our Sturgeon is our electrical contractor, and they're currently have completed the design for Sterling. We're in the final steps of the amendment to the contract and final documentation for sign off for project kickoff at the Sterling location. Those documents are expected this week, and hopefully after we get through with design review, we can kick off that project hopefully in January, or if not February, and wrap that up in short order. Took approximately 2.5 months to complete Lyman, and Sterling, the scope or physical footprint that we're going to be working on is about 2.5 times that size. So it'll be interesting to see what the schedule is from Sturgeon based on staffing from the electrical company, as well as how that can be supported by the CDOC team. So if there's any questions on the CDOC on the broadband project, please let me know.
We're good to go.
Yeah, I think we're good to go, Suzanne. I will turn that back over to you.
Great. Next up, we have the thanks, Matt. Appreciate you. Department of Transportation I-70 parcels, the remnant parcels. Tom, do you want to dive into this one a little bit?
Yeah. So this is another one of our. So what we've been doing is, and we're actually planning on. I think count out the bag a little bit. We're coming up with kind of a public-private partnership strategy, or like, and hopefully have it done by mid-year next year, and it will kind of show our different ways of attacking our pillars and other public-private partnerships using our budget. And this is another one that we've come up with, and it's partnering with other agencies that we don't necessarily have control of. We don't have the control of their land. So CDOT owns all their land. They have these I-70 remnant parcels, which was part of the I-70 project. And there's 14 of them. And we've been working with them, and they decided they wanted to do some community engagement on these parcels, because it was a little bit of a, the I-70 project was a tense project, and they want to make sure that the neighborhood knows that they're working with them on these parcels. So the first step on these parcels will be to figure out which parcels basically CDOT can go ahead and just use their regular disposition process, because a lot of them are small, and even industrial parcels. So there's not a lot we can do with them as an office. But there are some parcels that potentially we could use as P3 projects. So after we are able to hopefully dwindle them down a little bit, the plan will be to go into that kind of that technical advisor stage where we do feasibility study, market study, and see if we can work with a developer to do a P3 project. And we're hoping that this could be kind of a pilot for this part of the strategy, and hopefully that it's something that as we move forward as an office, we're able to do more across the state, and see if it works. But we're excited. It's a good opportunity. A couple of these parcels are really nice, and I know the city of we're meeting actually on Monday on this, at having a community engagement session with the community, and the city of Denver will be there. The councilman will be there. So we will have more to update you as we go along in this project, and hoping this works. It's a good pilot, and I think it's a way to get more affordable housing into the market.
Thanks.
Any questions on that one?
All right, moving on then to the Peedway. Matt, I'm gonna loop you back in.
Sure. Thanks,
Thank you.
Suzanne. So the Peedway, new conversation to this team, and it's as far as the P3 reporting out, the Colorado Sesquicentennial, which is a mouthful, 150-250 pedestrian walkway, is a project aimed at connecting three critical pieces of a Civic Center National Historical Landmark, Civic Center Park, Veterans Park, and the Capitol. These locations have been disconnected by Lincoln and Broadway streets to the west of the Capitol. And the goal is to have this completed for the 150-year anniversary in July of 26. The pedestrian walkway will be a structure of public art that serves a unique narrative canvas, weaving the state's heritage and history along the pathway there. The project embodies a public-private partnership bringing together the Civic Center Conservatory, the P3 office, the state, and the capital fundraising campaign, as well as some federal funding that is being looked at now through congressional appropriation and federal, city, and state grant opportunities. So what's been completed thus far is we've been working with Studio Gang, who has just completed a concept, and we're waiting for the concept design from Studio Gang that's targeted to hit our inboxes by the end of this week. And then that will need to be approved, and then we will provide an NTP by the end of this month that will kick off then schematic design starting early January and culminating in May. So we're in the very early stages of where we are for design, and it's an exciting project. It's been talked about through a couple of administrations, and now we have an opportunity to build something that will be there for quite some time, forever, and help us celebrate the sesquicentennial in July of 2026. I don't know if there's any questions there, or Tom, you want to add anything in?
No.
All right. Thanks, Matt. Okay. Durango is the next piece, and we're actually going to go into executive session on that one. So before we before we pause, because I will need to record that one separately from this meeting. So we will use, I sent out a different link on that, on the initial email, but I can resend it out now again. We'll join the other link momentarily. But before we do that, I'd like to wrap up this kind of general meeting with any additional or follow-up questions or thoughts that you guys have. Just on any of the stuff that we discussed, even having KPMG in or something you'd like to see in the future, any generic comments or questions before we wrap up this first sesh.
I just have one quick one. And I know this is probably a question that's too early to be answered, but with the state's budget issues, have you guys heard wind of anything that would affect these projects?
That's something we're always on our feet. We're always scrapping. I mean, my answer to everyone and to everyone that asks is, I mean, we have a opportunity. We have about a $27 million fund right now. That includes $3 million in revenue that we've brought in since we started. And I mean, we have the opportunity to, with these, we're working on about 16 projects right now, and we have the opportunity to build over 1,000 affordable housing units with that $27 million, about 300 new childcare seats, more access to more access throughout state facilities for broadband. Some of the ideas I have for behavioral and mental health, while we're not building any centers right now, but like ideas like where when we start moving people into these affordable units, maybe if we can set up some kind of partnership with an app that's behavioral and mental health and give a free subscription for years, things like that. You're not going to get that with $27 million if you're doing a traditional procurement way. And I mean, I don't want, and that's how I'm answering anyone that wants to take our budget. I mean, I don't think it would be the smartest. I think in the short term, it would just be kind of biting off your nose to spite your face. It's not. We have some great momentum. We have some great projects coming up, but yeah, I mean, like everyone else, we're selling our program. We're selling how much potential we have, and so we're here, and hopefully we'll still be here.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. And I'm so sorry. I just noticed that you were on here, so I apologize. Welcome. I see that you're from Epic and we know you well. So if you had any thoughts or questions, I hope you felt comfortable to raise your hand and discuss too as well.
No, my goodness, thanks for saying hello. I just wanted to come listen and learn for my first time sort of engaging in this type of work, and just wanted to learn about everything else that's happening in your world and how we all kind of fit in together. Yeah, thank you.
Well, welcome. I'm sorry I didn't say hello earlier. I just noticed your chat. So thanks
No worries.
for speaking up. I appreciate it. All right, great. Well, crew, I think what we're going to do then is we're going to cap out this meeting, and I'm going to send out a quick email once again with that link just so that you have it at the top, and then we'll see you here in executive session momentarily. Does that sound good?
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right. Thanks all. Take care.
Tom, just a question. Do we have to make a motion, read the citation, or am I being too EDC commissioner-esque?
Think so.
We will in the executive. Yes.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
And I have that. I'll send that out as well.
All right. Good. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, you guys. See you soon.